Could I now please invite David to give the opening prayer? Thank you.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, as we join together in this community, drawing people from very many places around our world, let us try and create a greater awareness of that power that we know as God, that is part of each and every one of us, that created our world and all that lies beyond us. And through reaching out to that power, let us ask, Father, that your love and upliftment touch the lives of each and every one of us here this evening. But as we have just sent healing thoughts out into our world, allow us to understand the power of prayer, the power of healing, and the power of thought. Because if all of these aspects are used in a positive manner, they can bring to humanity as a whole great benefit that transcends our own ability, but unites us together as one force for good in our world. Our religion teaches us that the change we know as death is but a doorway to a greater reality. And let us give us thanks for that understanding that inspires within each and every one of us a greater understanding of the purpose of our lives here in this world now, but also that which lies before us, as yet at this time unseen, but assured through our knowledge of life eternal, that that pathway lies open. No one is turned away. No one is rejected. We are all joined together in one great force of light and love. And in giving thanks for the joining in this service tonight, let us just acknowledge the energy of spirit in all of our lives, the difference, help, and support that it brings to us, not only when we are at our lowest ebb, but also when we soar high with that joy of the reality of life and living in our world. So we now dedicate this service we share together in your name of love, and ask that we, in our own way, will find that greater awareness of you in all aspects of our lives in this world. Amen.
Thank you, David, for that beautiful prayer. Right, ladies and gentlemen, today's reading is from the book Echoes, and it is called Listening, and it is actually written by Gordon Higginson, who a lot of you will know is an ex-president of the Union. He was a president for 23 years. So it's called Listening. When you pray, you become the prayer. We understand that God is an inner power, not an outside one. When you ask for something in prayer, it is no use expecting an outside power to come along and give you what you have requested. But if you can become your prayer through the sincerity and depth of your thoughts, then you have the answer. Each person will experience prayer in their own way because each of us is different. There are some who will use a formula, but I do not think that this has great value. When you use the same words over and over, they become, at best, not a prayer, but a mantra. And that is a different matter entirely. Prayer must be stimulated from the heart, not the memory. Prayer is not all about asking. Even when we think that we are asking for the right things, prayer is listening, communicating, being at one with reality, the reality of God. In prayer, we become our God. And if we listen, we are given the answers, the strength, and the knowledge to see through our troubles. Not from an outside source, but from our inner reality. In that touching of our soul, with the great soul of the universe, we are filled with love and humility. We no longer want only for ourselves, but also for that which is right for humanity. It may be we have our own part to play. Then we will be given the strength of purpose to fulfill our task. It might be that we have to stand back and allow events to shape our lives. So we are given the understanding which helps us to do this. It can take many years to learn to pray properly. Some will never learn, but all the time we have to try. Of course, the more we try, the better we get. I have sometimes been filled with the most complete feeling of love and belonging through prayer. Then I know I am in touch. When I thank God for all that I have, I am reminded of that which has been given to me. When I give thanks, I am reminded forcibly of the beauty of the universe, and I am with God. I always think that part of our prayers should be an acknowledgement of the closeness of the spirit world. Not because my friends in that world need to be reminded, but because I, a human soul, need to be reminded of that love which is given so freely from those realms. Prayer crystallizes within you what you are feeling about yourself, about your fellow man, and about your God. It is an expression of where you are and what you are. If you have absorbed the love of God and Spirit, this will be manifest in your prayer. If you have a sincere desire to help and to make progress, this will be heard. We have all that is needed within us. Thank you. I will now ask David, please, for your address. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina, and thank you for that choice of reading. It's not one I've heard before, but it was a beautiful reading, and thank you very much. Can I begin, ladies and gentlemen, by welcoming you all here tonight? And albeit that we are halfway through January, which is a frightening thought, can I also extend sincerely my good wishes for 2021 to each and every one of you, for the churches that you may represent, for your families, for your friends, for that sense of greater community that links us all together with one greater spiritual purpose, the power of spirit. As I was listening to Marina talking about or sharing Gordon's words and Gordon's thinking, I was very touched by the thoughts of be still and know that I am God. And that saying, that essence, that expression is something that we all in our own way have to find for ourselves. The reading talked about prayer. And I know that prayer means so many different things to so many different people. But you know, in a world that seems to see us so divided along all kinds of lines created by humanity, perhaps it is prayer that can have the potential to draw us all together as one. Looking at all of the many different religions in our world, hundreds and hundreds of different faiths, beliefs, practices, many of them find that time to enter that state of prayer. That time when we reach out with something within us and we reach out beyond the physical and embrace that power of God that is there for each and every one of us. And in these times when we are all finding our movements and our abilities to meet together physically restricted, that is one aspect of humanity that can never be restricted in this world or beyond. Because those words coming from the heart of our being allow us in our own way to reach out and to speak to that God power. But remember Gordon's words, we're not looking for something that is external. We are perhaps seeking to reach something that is rooted in the very heart of our being. For each and every one of us, every soul in this world is united with that power that we know as God. Now, it is part of the psychology of humanity that means at times we will turn away. At times we will doubt. At times our belief, faith, or whatever we have to hold on to will be shook by some experience in this world. And that presence of God will not seem as close as maybe it was. But remember that that is always our perception from our physical existence and experience. And whatever we do and wherever we do travel in this world, that power, that energy, that life force that is innate within each and every one of us travels with us. We can never be divorced from that energy and that power, because it runs through every molecule of our physical body, but also from every aspect of our spiritual being. So, as we face another year, let's consider, where are our lives going? What direction are we pointed in? I'm sure, like me, through 2020, you kept telling yourself that it had been a bad year. all of the experiences that we had, 2021 just had to be better. But maybe instead of looking out and around and praying for things to be better, we realize that we also have an element of responsibility in creating that better reality in our own lives. And if we truly understand the teachings and the philosophy of our spiritualism, we have to be aware that we express that also without of our own particular experience and existence. We have to be able to reach out to others. We can do it in prayer, in our healing moments. But you know, sometimes as we spend these times dedicated to the benefit of other souls, we don't always see the effects of that we seek to send out onto the ether, in the hope that it will reach where it is needed, and that it will bring that greater reality and that greater benefit to the lives of others, whether we direct that energy to individuals that we know, or just to humanity as a whole. It is without doubt that there is great need in our world, particularly so at this time. But the fact, the reality that we are spirit here and now surely encourages us to look at life beyond the restrictions of the physical world, because there is a whole part of us that is of the spirit. And it is that part of us that is eternal. It is that part of us that will move through that door we know as death, and realize at that time we are returning home from whence we came. Sometimes we lose sight of that reality. Our hope seems diminished. But if we realize and we understand that we, each and every one of us, are part of that greater power and that greater energy, then we begin to realize that our true purpose in this world can be fulfilled in so many ways. Those of us who perhaps were new to spiritualism, and I suppose it's all of us at some point, whether it's last week, last year, or like me over 40 years ago. But when we come in, many people talk about a feeling of coming home. The ideas that we experience, the thoughts, the feeling, the welcome, the warmth, make us feel very much at home and comfortable with people who are quite obviously of like minds. And then we begin to explore some of the phenomena of our movement, the mediumship, whether that be evidential mediumship or philosophical mediumship or healing mediumship. Many ways that we bring the reality of the spirit into our daily physical life. That amazing transformational message that those that we have loved and lost live on in the spirit world and can communicate with us at will, instilling in our minds that greater hope and that greater realization there is so much more to life than perhaps we ever perceive from the vantage point of the physical world. But in my mind, that should spur us on. That should encourage our resolve to become stronger and stronger and stronger. Because we see the benefit that can be brought from this teaching. If you happen to believe that spiritualism came about purely by accident, I suggest otherwise. I suggest that when the phenomena in 1848 with the Fox sisters occurred, it was planned and coordinated, because in the heart of humanity there was a need. And the message that has been developed and grown over the past 170 odd years has been refined and has been developed. But fundamentally, that message remains the same. That the time you spend here and now in this world is but part of a greater journey. That the reality of you transcends this physical vehicle and can never, ever be destroyed. That true essence of you that is eternal. And then if we accept all of that, surely we have to question, what can we do? How can we serve? How can we bring that energy and that power into our world, that in turn we can bring benefit to other people? As I mentioned earlier, there are many, many religious traditions in our world, some small, some large. But surely at the heart of each and every one of them, there must be the will to bring benefit and knowledge and understanding and hope into the lives of those that adhere to those particular religious teachings. And the joy of spiritualism for me is that those teachings oftentimes are directed and inspired by greater minds that draw close to this world from the world of the spirit, that in turn they may help humanity as we seek to do the same. So if you look forward and see only restriction, if you look forward and yearn for the freedoms that seem temporarily to be denied to us, if you look forward and wonder what the future holds, then maybe that's the time to enter into that state of silence, to find within the very heart of you that state of peace that Gordon spoke about in the reading. And in that silence, find the expression of that eternal God force. And through the expression of that energy and that power, rise to the potential that each and every one of us possess. Life's experiences take us into so many different areas. But you know, looking back with hindsight, all too often, it is very evident there is a guiding hand there that has shaped our pathway, our experience, our knowledge, and our understanding. And if we accept the reality of that, we have to realize that there is purpose in that guidance for each and every one of us. And equally, that guidance is not applicable only to spiritualists. For that guidance can be awakened through all humanity. And perhaps we have the way to be able to share that greater understanding, to be able to allow people to realize within themselves the power that lies all too often overlooked and dormant, the reality that they are part of something greater, part of the Great Spirit. So if you feel at this time you're looking for a new challenge, you're looking for a new purpose, you're looking for a new connection, your mediumship is perhaps not as you would have it, your understanding and appreciation of the philosophy feels to be needed to be deepened. Your ability to reach out and to touch and to bring the power of healing into the lives of others could be stronger and so much more effective. Surely what we are seeing is the expression of our own doubts and fears. And we need to look beyond that. We need to learn trust. We need to learn to enter that silence and find those words of prayer that will guide us forward. For in whatever we do, in whatever situation we find ourselves, we are never alone, never left untended, never short of the words of guidance, inspiration, and love expressed from the Spirit. Be still and know that I am God. And in finding an expression of that God force in your life, embrace the power of change that it can bring, the deeper understanding that it affords, and the greater realization of the reality of life and all of its many parts. For that is the reality of what we are here and now, and what we will always be, either in this world or the next. Be still and know that I am God, and that power walks with me always.
Thank you very much, David, for sharing your wonderful words of wisdom and philosophy. Thank you.